Hello again. Before I dive into today's topic, I should give a little context for those who have not heard or played the game Dark and Darker before. Dark and Darker falls into an extraction shooter category, with its unique twist coming from a variety of gameplay elements. From its inception, it was clear that the core gameplay mechanics are inspired by another indie game studio that created a little game called Escape from Tarkov. Dark and Darker is different with its class systems, unique gear pieces, and even game-changing boss drops that have become the center point of the player's in-game economy. Over the course of the last 2 years, Dark and Darker has gone through a lot of development, from the addition of new races, classes, and maps to the seemingly erratic balancing changes. SDF, the lead developer, for the lack of a better term, has officially crashed out. As of October 25th, 2024, at 12:30 a.m., he finally broke. Throughout the past 2 years of patch notes and gameplay changes, one thing remained clear. Gear was important. Kinda. Let me explain. I'm not going to go into the mathematics of it because A, I don't know how it works, and B, I don't know how it works. There's a link below for someone smarter than me explaining it in greater detail. But essentially, there's equipment in the dungeon that will be inherently better than what your character has on. Wearing these items will give you better armor, damage, and sometimes a stat bonus depending on the item attribute. These item attributes are randomly rolled and is kind of the main selling point of why items are so rare or so special. A couple patches ago, due to SDF's bouncing changes, this was the state of physical damage resistance. So yeah, gear is really important. So important in fact that if you're going against another team with better gear than you, 9 times out of 10, you are going to lose. And the feeling of finally acquiring that gear and steamrolling other players, that is unbeatable. Essentially, the bigger numbers, the better chances you have of not dying. With the game going through the changes of faster times to kill or slower times to kill, the community always knew that at the forefront of it all, the loot you find is precious. With patch number 69, SDF decided that he wanted to make a 180-degree turn and, quote, completely change the direction of the game towards my original vision. Things like wanting to remove random modifiers, dual queues, and wanting 1v3s and still wanting shorter time to kills. Essentially, with this new update, the value of getting gear is worthless, as your default weapons have the exact same damage as, say, a legendary dagger. A YouTuber by the name of The Wrath of Koopa goes on a very nice explanation explaining what SDF is doing to the company and kind of how we should react to it.
I still believe that something great can emerge from this mess we currently find ourselves in. But it's very clear to me that we have no hope of that with SDF in the kitchen. For every good idea the man has, he has 2 or 3 terrible ones. He's routinely proven how disconnected he is from what makes Dark and Darker a fun premise. His first design pillar has always been grind in lieu of content.
You don't need to tell me what the community reaction was. Over the course of the past 2 years, SDF has never, at least in my opinion, made it clear to the players where his game was headed. There have been multiple times SDF has done rollbacks purely because the players have either pressured him into doing it or because he was not happy with a patch change. The constant back and forth between balancing changes make it feel like some classes are either targeted by nerfs and others are buffed to dominate the entire lobbies. And not to mention, no one really seems to talk about how the company was slow to react and also low-key endorsed the gold farmers that came from the land that shall not be named. I don't know. This is a very confusing time indeed for Dark and Darker players, but remember what we all used to do in times of uncertainty when they were going against the Nexon in the legal battle. We must hold the line together. Now, I'm not an expert on this topic, nor do I claim to be one, but below there are some links to people who go further in depth about the changes and what it could potentially mean for the game and the community. I really love this game, and I don't want the last 2 years of my time to be for nothing. My name is Kevin, and I like to talk about things that I find interesting. Oh, and by the way, if you're feeling a little helpless right now, like, oh, there's nothing you can do to save the game that you love, well, Wrath of Koopa has a link for a petition in his videos, and the petition calls for Terry to either take over or limit SDF's sabotage of our beloved game, Dark and Darker. Thank you so much for giving me your time, and take care.